Hello everybody and welcome to Legs 11. We're at Spa-Francorchamps and it is the Caterham Kings back for more happy crashing, curb cutting, smashy-roo, penalty box stuff. It's Simon here, and as ever I have my Mexican friend who's just been signed up for another year, surprisingly, Ben.
Como estas? It's Belgium, isn't it?
It is.
This is genuinely my least favourite track. I mean, it's my favourite to watch, but in terms of driving, no.
Why is it your least favourite?
I'm just awful at it. It should be one on paper that I should be quick at, because I like long, fast tracks, but no, never been any good here. You know, even on my single-player career, where I always outperform anything I do online, I'm terrible. I can get podium results in the Williams all the way up to this race, and then I end up certainly outside the top 10 consistently. And I often conform to some horrible and offensive Mexican stereotypes by spending most of the time trimming the grass.
As opposed to trimming your moustache, which I suppose acts as a rear wing. If you pushed your head up and down with a moustache, does that count as DRS?
If it doesn't, it should. Because it's true though, not many drivers have facial hair when you think about it.
No, that's why I need to bring back Keke Rosberg. Surely that thing was downforce on wheels.
What a man he was.
Well, just taking a quick look at the old stand-ins as we was chatting away there. Rosberg is second to Alonso. They're romping away with Hamilton and then Massa, bizarrely. Vettel's only 5th. I'm sitting down in 6th. You're in unlucky 13th for some. Not bad at all. And still to score, Ricciardo and Di Resta. Whoops,
yeah. I wonder if when they've set the performance levels for the cars and drivers in the last patch, whether they basically took Di Resta's 5 DNF run as the benchmark.
Let's just never have him finish ever again. Dumb.
It's interesting to note though that they've actually done a rather good job of putting the cars around where you would expect them to be, with the exception of us obviously and the Red Bulls.
Yes. Yeah, Red Bulls are not quite winning this one somehow. I don't think Webber's scored very much at all. And Vettel's not won it all.
I wonder if that's a bit of bias on the part of the staff at Codemasters coming out there.
Yes, the old English. Stiff upper lip. Go down with the ship. Oh,
well then, sir, shall we dive in?
Go on then.
See if we can put the outqualified to 10-1.
Oh dear. I have to say, actually, I've never done particularly well in Spa during all of my various years of online sim racing. It's never been a happy hunting ground, and the only time I've ever collected points is when everyone else has smashed it off somewhere and I've come around and collected the last couple of points.
See, that's something that is the correct sort of thing to shoot for. We spoke about it last time actually. We were talking about Max Chilton finishing races, because you know occasionally something can go wrong for somebody and you can sneak in there and pick up some points. I mean, that's basically the whole ethos of Minardi, as was. Don't stick it in the barrier and you might pick up a point. But sadly, in this game, although there's a definite improvement this year over last year, I still don't think the AI make enough mistakes.
No, and retirements don't happen. And I tell you what is really annoying about that, with you saying about the retirements and how it doesn't work, is that if you play the scenario mode in this, it's got scenarios where you're missing 3rd and 4th gears and things like that. So they clearly have the technology and the ability to do failures.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember when you first boot up this game and you go through the young driver test.
Yes.
They do a test with you where you suffer a tyre blowout.
Oh crumbs, yes. To illustrate the flashback thing.
Yeah, and interesting how that never happens again.
I've never had a tyre blowout on its own maybe through wear. Although by that point I've normally skidded back to the pits after spinning 10 times on my own anyway.
See, I just think it's. I'm fine with there being a switch for it, on or off. I fully appreciate most people don't want that to happen, but I actually think it could make a lot of the Let's Plays and the racing leagues much more interesting.
Definitely. Especially if it rewards really scrappy driving.
Exactly, and I know this is something we generally agree on to a certain extent, but I'm a big advocate of it anyway. There's this idea that to make interesting online racing, you have to do something to show the true mettle of any driver, right? Because one thing that sim racing shows very, very well is that if you have a partnership of drivers who are perhaps friends in real life, who both happen to be particularly talented, then they're not going to switch teams. They're always going to be together, and they're always going to be dominant because the deciding factor is the driver. And I know a lot of people say that's how it should be, but if you're trying to have videos that people will watch, or you're trying to have a league that gains sponsorship and viewers, in the same way that sort of StarCraft 2 leagues turn quite a lot of money over, actually, then you have to recognise that it's going to be dull watching the same 2 or 3 people win year in, year out, and you have to shake up the driver market, you have to put differences in the cars, you have to install random failures, or else you're just not breaking up the show. Controversial, I know.
I can hear the hisses and boos.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think they mostly come from the drivers.
And the drivers who are out front.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm having one of those days again, Simon, where I feel like I'm really fast, but I secretly know that I'm not. It's like I'm lying to myself, and that's the worst person you can lie to.
No, because if you believe it, eventually it will be true.
Well, that is how the world works. If you believe something will happen, then it will happen.
Defo.
So I've decided to reevaluate my goals.
Okay.
Because I've been looking over the comments we've had on recent videos. Someone has very correctly pointed out, and I'm sorry I forget your name, that Caterham should not be as high up as we, or more specifically you, have been, and suggested that we turn up the difficulty. I beg you to reconsider that request on the basis that I come last more than once this season.
I've come last once. Oh, that bloody corner. Sorry.
It's quite alright. And but I wouldn't be averse to turning the difficulty up if we switch to a better car, right? And then it strikes me that sort of from Belgium onwards, that's when all the speculation begins. Who's going where? Who's done deals with who?
Oh. I like where this is going.
So yeah, I'm interested to, because this is the first time we've passed the halfway mark in a season. I think the flow has been really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already looking ahead to. I'm doing a Weber again. I'm looking ahead to next year and my Porsche. Simply because this has been so torrid for me.
You just want out.
Yeah, I am. I'm enjoying it from the standpoint of the level of conversation that we enjoy. It's always a pleasure, Simon.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'm learning. I'm treating it as a learning year. On the basis that I haven't come to any solid conclusions, but I'm finding out quite a lot about how I drive, if that makes sense. The answer is poorly.
No, not at all. I think you drive far more within the track than I've been doing. One of the things that I've noticed, and someone has actually commented, stop. I think it's Rick Lopez is the guy that said about the Caterham's not being so high, but he's also the one that said stop cutting corners than Simon. And I really wasn't aware of how badly I cut corners until someone pointed it out.
All right,
at least I'm not spinning around in a qualifying session to block everyone. Yeah. There's time. And talking of Shuey, all the best, rather, and wish you well. Poor
yes,
guy.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no questions asked.
But yes, I think I've been spoiled by driving offline essentially for so long, and I didn't do much sim racing last year, and it's so quick to know that those guys are computers and they're not really going to be so upset if you just push the boundaries of that circuit that little bit. And all of a sudden Simon's on a GPS system somewhere else in the world. He says, we say Belgium, he's actually sitting in Berlin going, just taking the corner. So yeah, it's a bit of a reality check for me, and that's good to know before I rejoin in sim racing again for March for the new season. As well as not being horrifically unfair to you.
It's quite alright, even with that taken into consideration. You've just wiped the floor with me this year. I think what was concerning me most was that I just haven't, like I said, I haven't reached any solid conclusions. I've learned a bit about how I drive, but improving it or knowing the specifics of, I know what I do, but I don't know why it's wrong. Do you know what I mean?
A bit like when you have an affair.
Exactly.
Why is
exactly
this wrong?
like
Get out. Not that I've had an affair, but yeah, I can imagine that being what it feels like. One thing that I always I know, but I still do it a bit wrong, is all the different camber around Spa. Like into Stavlo, I always end up going too deep and then feeling like I'm a bit of a lost lettuce. And Pouon is got the worst name for a corner ever, and I always just mount the curb and just get stuck on it.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think I account for the camber particularly well. I just don't know what it is about this track, but I run wide certainly a lot. I mean, I don't go off track, but I'm near the end. I'm near the edge of the track, but just not the edge with the apex on it. Which is poor form. But there's something I can do about it. I think maybe I should spend some time with sim racers that we know, and see if someone's going to spend some time with me and help me work on my technique. I know Roy Watchmeister has this.
The Meister Man. Yes.
Yeah, and as you'll probably recall, he's fast.
It's very good.
He's very good. So maybe I can persuade him with beer and conversation to give me some pointers. Oh, what an idiot. What an idiot.
What have we done? Oh, I can see someone stopped on the bus stop. Have you missed the pit lane?
Yeah. I'm not driving around again. I don't care if I get a penalty for that.
Fine.
Just an idiot. That's my problem. There we go. We've diagnosed what the issue is.
That would be the subtitle for this episode. Just an idiot. Esteban. Oh, there you are. In fact, whilst things have gone exceptionally well for me in quali, what we might do is go on board with you. Because I don't think I'll ever beat that time as long as I live.
Where are you at the moment?
I'm in pole.
You're in pole and I'm 20th with a 10-place grid penalty.
How have you got a 10-place grid penalty?
For stopping at the bus stop.
Oh.
But by the time I realised that I shouldn't have done it, I'd done it. So I thought, right, sod it, back up, get into the pit lane, don't go around without your fuel again.
Well, can I actually watch you?
You probably can. I'm not out on track just yet. But the problem is with watching me is that when I know you're doing it, I drive far worse than when you're not.
I won't do it.
Bollocks, Simon. I know that's exactly what you're doing right now.
Do you know what? It doesn't let you. That sucks.
Wait, it lets you jump on. I think it's only if you're out of the session. maybe, if you get disqualified or... But I really thought it would have done.
No. Rubbish.
Also, I don't amend my brake bias. Right, which is something, you know, I see people doing a lot. But I never care to really give it that much consideration unless the race engineer says, you know, shift it to the rear. I should have run a lot wider out of the exit of that corner.
Right.
But yeah, sorry, we got distracted by me being an idiot.
That's all right.
I'm interested on your opinions of the season so far and where you think we should be next time out.
I think we should definitely up the difficulty, but I agree we should then go to a better team, because otherwise we may be stuck just wandering around at the back.
It'll be season 1 all over again.
Yes.
Where we're on board with you and you're just on your own.
Aww. Whereabouts are you on the track actually?
End of the start-finish straight.
Okay. I shall be nice and slow. Don't know what Bianchi's doing, but he's got so many sparks coming out of his car.
I still think that's a glitch, you know, rather than an accurate... Yeah, I don't know, a lot of the cars just seem to be permanently bottoming out. I'm hitting the rev limiter like a mile from the end of turn 3 or 4. See, that's something else I should learn.
The computer's showing sector 1 has been cleared. Green flag conditions apply in sector 1.
Oh shit, that's you.
Yeah, it's me. It's alright. I've run completely wide. Just ignore me. Just. I braked far too late because I thought, oh, there's a car there on the racing line, and then I realised it was you.
It was me wondering what I'd done with Rosberg just a couple of corners ago, because it was red. It was saying yellow flags, like there's a massive crash ahead. And I thought, where is it? And I think it might have been thinking it was me. I was very confused.
Are you going past?
No. I'm gonna gently follow just to see where it's going wrong. And if that means I'm blocking Alonso, toughs.
Unlucky Alonso.
1 minute remaining, just 1 minute.
Yeah, see, that was wide, wasn't it?
That weren't bad. Oh, Alonso, stops. There we go. Wah, wah, wah.
Another appalling lap, Ben. Well done.
You're currently on pole.
Right.
At least I'm consistent, though, eh?
That's true. So a little bit occurs out of the source offs. So you're good round the old hairpin, and you're good over Eau Rouge.
But see, I'm on the limit now. I'm on the
So
limit.
am I, don't worry. Right, so you must be right up at the front pace on Sector 1 then. This is going well for Sector 2 so far. Yeah, that's a bit wrong. What you're showing is just smoke pouring out the back of your car.
That's probably accurate. But you see how wide it runs there?
Yeah, I hate Fang. I hate Alonso smacking into the back of him.
Not as much as he hates it.
Trolls! Oh, he's gone past.
Of course he has. Couldn't let us have one, could you, Fernando?
There's going to be a pain around that Blanchimont.
Not as much of a pain as I just was.
What? That was better from you, surely, that one.
Nope. No improvement.
Really? That's crazy. And I see spots of rain now starting to come down as well, so we'll blame that. But I can't... There's like some jerkiness, but I can't work out if that's servery bits or not. But it didn't... I can't pinpoint much that's wrong apart from Lafangya chicane, you went in deep, and Pouon, it looked as if you caught the curve, which always loses about half a second.
Yeah, I probably did. Liberal use of the curb is definitely a problem. But yeah, I'm struggling. But if anyone has any ideas, then that would be greatly appreciated. I've had a few comments from people like, "You're crap." And it's like, well, I'm aware of that.
But that time must have been a bit better because you was 5.2 and now you're only 3.7 off me, so that wasn't bad.
That's still about 3 more than I would like. Shall we hit the race?
Let's do it.
I think this is the perfect candidate for one of my prime starts.
Your prime starts on your weird strategies.
Tears before bedtime on the right side of the Caterham garage.
Whereas I believe this is the first time I've seen a pole position thing happen.
I'm astounded you got pole on a track that by your own admission you're poor at.
I think I was lucky. More than anything else.
The weird thing is though is that it started raining, although at the start it said there's a 0% chance of rain. So you know, we're in trouble if they can't even get that right.
Oh god. Caterham Kings, what are you doing? Been on the old sauce. Just because Marussia beat you.
Well, you know, you got to hit the sauce to make it to the end of this season. I'm so looking forward to next year.
Ah.
And, you know, by extraction, next year's game, because hopefully I'm better at it.
I'm assuming there will be an F1 2014 game.
Yeah, I don't know how long their contract is, but I believe it's yearly. Because people are always complaining, saying, hey, you know, why have you not made this as good as it can be? Or why was this not implemented last time? Or things like that. But I think the terms of the license is that they can't make a game that's too good. They've got to they've got to improve it every year because, you know, Bernie expects his check.
Yeah, I think I've not been disappointed by any of them on this current generation of stuff since Cody's took over. 2011 was a bit ropey for me because of the poor graphics and the frame rate issues, but the other ones perfectly fine, and this is definitely my favourite.
Did you and I record anything on 2011? We didn't,
No.
did we?
We've only done 2012 in this one.
Yeah, because 2011 the car felt very, very skittish. It was only 2012 onwards that I felt it had any weight at all.
Yeah, it was weird because 2010 felt like it. I felt that one was weighty. Then 2011 was you couldn't floor it ever. Evers. So I was like traction control extreme high, but no. I struggled with that one, and I was doing a co-op season on my PS3 with someone, and we returned back to it after starting it on 2012 on the PS3, and we just couldn't do it because the frame rate and the graphics are so. It's like it's struggling. It's having like half a poo and it can't finish it off.
And that's a great analogy.
Just hanging there like a sausage. And it just wasn't happening, and so we couldn't act. I think it was worse because we'd stopped at Singapore, and when we went there, it was just the game was just crying, no more. So,
well, I'm looking forward to Singapore. I've always been quite good there. Maybe that'll be the turnaround point for me. Just shame it's too late in the season.
It could be your win.
What's your strategy?
Popping in on lap 6 apparently.
I was thinking the same thing, but I will go to 7.
Are you doing the primes or the options?
Prime start, but it says that I can make my options last the entire race if I needed to, so I don't see the need to run too deep on the primes, I suppose.
No.
But I mean, I suppose actually if I can stay on primes till 7, then I can really razz the options, right? If I get myself in a good position, start, hold people up, do the bend train, then when I come in, I don't have that many laps on the options, so I can really be rather careless with them. Yeah, sorry. That's the plan.
Esteban has a plan.
Yeah, and we know how that goes. Are you ready?
Ready, steady, Eddie.
Someone has suggested to me, and it's actually a really good idea, that whenever an idea pops into my head regarding strategy or a tyre change, just stop. Just stop. Like, just stop with the idea, and then whatever the idea was, try and implement the opposite of it.
I'd rather you do it, but implement it whilst you are surrounded by test tubes and having your hair frizzled.
So like, pouring Red Bull onto the power socket while charging my phone, maybe don't do that. Maybe just,
That may be an issue.
In a good news for my delicate ego, I'm already last, so no one can pass me down, start finish straight, and expose the hideous inadequacies of the car.
That's not how you do bus stop, Simon.
I've just made a rude hand gesture at Jules Bianchi.
He's a Frenchman.
Yeah, that'll be why. Some people say, he can't help it, but nonsense, they can all help it.
Whereas others say he may be a dreamer.
Oh, the Rester has just left me for dead. It's because I'm Mexican, isn't it?
Oh my god.
Oh, hideous accident with Maldonado.
What, with you?
Yeah, that I've got the penalty for. Thanks for that.
Oh no!
It's okay. I care not. I've got a cavalier attitude to this now.
Oh god. Oh. Oxycron. Shit on. Shit on it.
I am shit on it.
You ever seen the programme Friday Night Dinner?
I have not.
Okay, that's where I've got that phrase from.
Yeah, this car is just seriously lacking in pace around this track. Everyone just appears, like even the Saubers and the Williams just appear to be on the gas the entire way around this track.
Oh no!
What's happened?
Oh, okay. I thought I was going to get a penalty for smacking the back of Alonso, but I got away with it. Clearly.
No, I think they gave it to me in advance. That's one Mexican down.
Hey. 14th. Not bad, jobby.
13th now. Just got past Gutierrez. It's Perez in front of me.
God, it's like a Mexican trio. What would that be? That would be, I don't know what that would be.
Of course, naturally I know, but I think it would be bad for one to tell you.
Well, they'll be taken off air.
Speaking of being taken off air, now there's been all this stuff with the YouTube copyrights. How have you found with that? How are you getting on?
Not bad, actually. I've not had anything removed at all, but that is because before I monetized, I deleted 500 of my videos which were all trailers.
Ah, smart thinking, Batman.
I knew I wouldn't be able to monetize them and to write because I didn't make any of that at all. The only stuff I've ever monetized is stuff that I've not, that I've actually put something into myself, I don't see the point in taking other people's money for their hard work. It's a bit sneaky. What I don't agree with though is where, oh, that's not quite the racing line either, is where people have used part of, say, a trailer or the background music of a game, and they're being taken off air for that, because that's something that I would be taken off air for, because you expect to hear part of the sound or maybe part of the FMV bit if it's part of a much larger scale of something else.
Well, see, this is something, right? I mean, you and I have both dabbled in the world of music, right?
Yes.
So this is something that, you know, maybe we have a different perspective on. I can tell already though that your view on the matter is different to mine from what you've just said, but it's a bit more of a grey area to me. Because assume you're a musician, right, and you pick up a commission from an indie developer, and they pay you to create and perform a piece of music that then features on the soundtrack of their game, right? And then that's nice, it's money in the bank. But you only get money if the game sells, right? Now, that means you don't make any money for any reproductions of your music that appear on YouTube videos. And while that's not the end of the world, I think the point is that, you know, the deal was you made this music and people would hear it when they played the game, not if they watched the game across the internet. And some people say, well, that's a pretty small distinction, and I'd agree with them. It is, but it's still something sort of, I think, is worth bearing in mind, because, you know, a lot of these musicians don't really make the big money you might think. A lot of the game developers don't make the big money you might think. And so if your livelihood is providing music to these games and things like that, then, you know, you want to maximize your own revenue, which involves people buying the game. Now, I don't know anyone who's bought a game for the soundtrack alone, but, you know, in essence, the thing is that you don't get any benefit from that. And even though the core of the video is not your soundtrack, the point is it's still a component within it, and you're not seeing any revenue for your work. It's sketchy ground, I know, but I can understand to a modest extent why people would be upset about that and would claim their music. I can sort of see the train of thought behind it.
My response to that would come from, and I can't remember the guy who actually said the response on YouTube, but basically said, for whatever proportion of the oh my god, hang on 2 seconds, that was 4 into 1 into Lecom, was not going to happen, but it somehow has. I'll get lost, Vettel. What was I going to say? Yes, my thingy on that, corker of a battle going on. People might be able to see that in my rear view. For however long their person's soundtrack or anything like that is going on in the video, they should take a proportion of the revenue.
The revenue, yeah.
Yeah, for the time that it's on the air for. And if it's on the air for the whole thing, then it should take a proportion of the whole piece of the revenue or something like that. Or if it's someone's trailer that they've stuck in, then the person who built the trailer that company should get that portion of the sales and so on and so forth.
I completely agree with you on that. I think that's a solution that everyone can agree is reasonable. I think I didn't really phrase it very well. The point I was making was you sold your game to the game developer, and through them the game developer's customers. You didn't sell it to anybody across the internet.
I will say I have bought many a game from seeing how people have played it or done it on the internet, and I will say that I have bought soundtracks from games that I don't own through hearing the music on their game on the internet. So I think taking it off air entirely is counterproductive, because they would not have got sales from me personally. And I know other people would have gone, oh, where's a torrent, can I do this, can I do that? But for the people out there who are general enthusiasts, I mean, I collect computer game music, maybe I'm a bit of an extremist on that front, but that I have soundtracks to games I don't own, shit. Sorry, Bell. Oh, good, only a warning. I thought I was going to be taken off that one. Yeah, so I would say, shit. I would say get out the barrier, Simon, you twat.
You've damaged the front wing. It's only minor, so stay out. Keep to the original pit strategy.
Have I got a front wing? Oh, I don't know. I can't decide.
The genuine question.
Could you hear it in my voice?
Yeah.
It's not steering like it has one. Oh, that's a shame. I'm not even in the points now. Are you in this lap?
No. Lap 7.
Okay, I may come in. Oh my goodness me, it's not steering at all. I know that is yeah, through you go, good series. I can see you holding up a little train.
I wasn't 3 or 4 turns ago, but I lose so much speed. Whoa, Simon!
We believe the car ahead is running.
Fucking hell, what is going on with me? God, next one up's Chiltern, come on!
Your tyres are heavily worn. Box for fresh rubber if you need to.
I am wheel to wheel with Maldonado.
That is never where anyone wants to be.
No, but it's alright, he's run out of steam. And see you later, Sutter.
Well, you will if we go to Sauber.
Yes!
Such a I didn't know that was ever going to happen move.
Can I just take credit here?
Did you not say that? Actually?
Yeah, about 2 videos back. He has money from Decra and Capri Sun.
Oh no!
Which is just the most unlikely tie-up ever. Capri Sun sponsors Adrian Suttle.
We're so happy, Sully.
But he does spend a lot of time in shorts, so you know maybe that does make sense. But yeah, where to end up next year? See, for me, sorry Vettel, but no. For me, I reckon Sauber's a pretty good bet, but we've done them before. Force India would be second, but then again, in the latest patch, we've sort of, I say latest like it was recent, but in the last patch, for this game, 'cause it will be the final one, they sort of choked them back a bit, didn't they? And they definitely pulled back on Toro Rosso, which was a car I really enjoyed driving when the game first came out.
Yes.
So Sauber might be the best bet. Whether Sauber concur. It's a shame, to be honest, though, that you can't do a Cup season at different teams. Because I've always been a proponent that we should play this sort of semi-realistically, and then you could go off to, based on this performance, probably Lotus or Mercedes, and I could just quietly snivel back to Marussia for a season. Can I just admit a fondness for Marussia, by the way?
Yeah, they're nice.
I know in some circles that's kind of like saying you like voting for communism or you agree with dysentery, but it's I preferred them when they were Virgin. I don't know why, because I don't think an international multi-billionaire really deserves much sympathy from anybody, but I kind of had a fondness for them, and I didn't like Caterham when it was Team Lotus. There was something about Tony Fernandez that sort of sat wrong with me. But now I like both of them. I hate to see either of them go, because obviously the rumour is that we're going to see teams merging in the next few years.
Oh God.
And customer cars are going to come in at the preference of Ferrari and I believe Red Bull. Mainly because that means they can fire everyone at Toro Rosso and just duplicate a single car.
Yeah, I suppose they're the only people that actually save money in it all.
The rumour, and it is just a rumour, is that Marussia are in talks, or were in talks, to merge with Force India. because that's sort of a chain to McLaren, isn't it? They're both technical partners
Yep.
to McLaren. The other one was Caterham and Lotus in merger discussions.
Okay, since they practically wanted to be the same team before anyway, I suppose.
Exactly, and the idea being is that they can cut costs, save on redundancies, because Fernandez is supposed to be reconsidering the whole F1 thing anyway, because nothing has gone how he planned it. He expected to buy Queen's Park Rangers and turn them around, and it hasn't really worked out for him, and he expected to be able to do F1.
So is the problem Tony Fernandez, or is the problem that he's just not quite worked out if it's not happened on the
I think he underestimated the challenge. I don't think it's necessarily his fault, but because everyone expected that these teams...
drinking on the job?
Yep. Everyone expected that these teams would have caught the back of the midfield by now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people.
I'm told that Caterham are confident of closing the gap significantly. With this rule change, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
But they really should have caught up by now, in the opinions of many, many people. And it just goes to show the skewed nature of things. But I'd like to ask you a question.
Yeah.
On all this, right? Do you feel DRS, KERS, and to some degree the regulations and the tyres have been successful, or were they a complete waste of time? You can mention them as a group, mention them individually, and I'm just curious on your opinion.
DRS, waste of time. Sorry, not DRS, KERS, waste of time. Sorry for me. DRS is not a waste of time, but I don't like it, because to me it feels fake and it removes some of the fun of trying out strategies. But that's the purist in me. I wished that if DRS zones were managed more effectively, which it was always going to take a couple of years to do anyway, if they were managed effectively, then I think DRS would definitely be worthwhile. But KERS, I still really struggle to see the point of it unless you put it in with... Oh god. I'm so sorry whoever that was. Oh, no, they're still there. And what was the other one? Tyres, I would say are successful, but only if A, they're safe, and B, they don't then bow down to just people bemoaning over it, and that it doesn't become the focus of F1, because it feels like the last couple of years everyone just blames everything for the tyres, when actually I'm sure that there's plenty of other things involved that can help you or hinder you on the old tyre front.
It's a fine line, isn't it, between spicing things up and turning everything into an economy run. A lot of people are saying, well, we want them going as fast as they can. I think, for me, the main thing is not letting Bernie Ecclestone decide this kind of stuff. Because he has some wacky ideas, like sprinklers to make the track wet randomly, and
I don't mind that one.
what was his other one? Shortcuts for faster cars.
Shortcuts?
Yeah, shortcuts that cut across corners, so that lapping cars can...
get out of the way kind of thing.
No, so the car doing the lapping can get round faster.
Oh, what? But there's something to be said about lapping people and doing stuff properly, and see, because the art of that is all gone with DRS, because you just get to a DRS zone, you don't have to repass the people on different strategies because they just go round. And the economy run stuff, I can kind of understand where they're coming from, but you used to have economy runs in the 80s where no one ever had quite enough fuel in the car. But the difference with that was that you were taking that very much into your own hands, and that was down to like the design of actually we're going to run lighter and see what on earth happens at the end of it because we choose to, not because we're forced to. I think there's a difference.
Yeah. The thing is that I hear a lot of people complaining about all these elements, right? But when asked how they would liven the show up, no one has any idea. Because here's the thing, right? All these were brought in at the end of the Schumacher era, really. Or the ideas were first floated. You know, they had the working groups put together at the end of the Schumacher era. And the idea was that, you know, one team should not be so dominant as to completely kill the entertainment value.
Yeah.
And there are people now who look back nostalgically and say, well, it was the best driver in the best car, and that's what F1 should always be about.
Won't they do this in 10 years' time once they're removed from the situation now?
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing for me is that, yeah, maybe that is the case, but there's a limit to it. You have to realise that you can only have F1 if you've got the viewers to attract sponsors, to put the money in, to pay for these machines and the extravagant nature of the sport.
Yeah.
The worst thing that's happened so far is taking it off the BBC.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're completely alienating casual fans who, you know, now I don't think it's possible to become a new fan of F1 in Britain. Because it's not something you're really going to catch. You know, the BBC highlights are always on at a stupidly inconvenient time, even when the race isn't. And nearly a massive accident there. And you know, the only people who are going to buy the F1 channel on Sky are people who are already not just fans but hardcore fans, because it's, you know, you've got to buy a Sky package, get a dish installed, and then you've got to upgrade it to include the F1 channel.
Yeah, and I love F1, but I don't have the finance available to do that. I'm sorry to say. So I've been able to watch streams of it, but that's what a hardcore fan has to do. And if anything, actually, what it has done is let me explore other alternative methods of racing and find them so much more enjoyable in the lower categories. And I think that's just because they don't have to deal so much with the pure aerodynamics of F1 being so extreme, because it comes back to drivers having to deal with things on a much lower scale, and so the driver has more input, I think. And there's more standard parts and things.
I mean, the thing to me is, like, maybe DRS isn't necessarily a great idea, maybe KERS isn't a great idea. KERS I sort of see as a necessary evil, right? Because the car manufacturers, you need them. Like, for good or evil, you need them. At least a small number of them. Teams can't be in a position where they're forced to develop their own engines. Arrow's tried it, and then look what happened, it bankrupted them. They couldn't afford to pay for the emergency Cosworth engines they got at the last minute. And that's bearing in mind that, was it 2002? They got Asiatech engines completely free. An engine deal cost in the region of 20 million a season. So they'd saved 20 million right off the bat, but they'd just done so much financial damage to themselves trying to develop an Arrow's engine. You just can't expect teams to do it. So you need manufacturers in there, and in order to have them there, what they're investing in, especially if they know they're not necessarily going to be successful, has to be something that's technologically relevant to what they do. And KERS is something that you're going to see more of in the future. But without these things, I think F1 would be even more dull than it has been this season. And these things can work, because if you look back at the 2012 season, I mean, how thrilling was that?
Yeah.
I mean, and to me, that was genuine edge on the seat stuff for the first 3/4 of that season.
And I will say that I still do enjoy F1, and I enjoy the fact that it's closer now in the last 5 years than what it has ever been. And I think we get spoiled, and we're very short term and nostalgic. When you look back to those races and go, oh, they were real men and all of this kind of stuff. There's like 10 seconds separating the entire grid. I would dread to go back to those kind of days where you've got like gaps of a second covering 3 people. because over a whole race distance, how is anyone ever going to be close to each other?
No, exactly. I'm just scared though that the way things are going, we're moving into a situation where we could end up with as little as 5 or 6 teams, maybe each team running 3 cars.
That would be a shame.
I mean, they're just damaging F1. F1 is about a whole spectrum of teams, from privateers to manufacturers. It's about the glamour, the sponsors. It's about the technology, and that's kind of been diluted a bit. I like what you said. We discussed last round, the idea of just freeing up the regulations again. Maybe, throwing in the bin the rule book that we know now in terms of design, and then coming back again in a method that sort of allows people to try things again. I guess we're probably going to see a bit of that at the start of 2014, because apparently I read an interview with Christian Horner on Autosport, and he was saying that this is the first time in a long time that you're going to see a lot of variation in car design.
That would be good.
And he says, at the first test, you're going to see all manner of shapes and sizes and stuff, depending on where people have installed the engine, at what angle and what height. How people are going to adapt to this nose regulation. Because some are already talking about a vanity aspect. Like, they feel that this ugly, downward pointed nose and stuff isn't worth so much of an advantage that they're going to use a vanity nose like a lot of teams did this year. Like, they had that step nose last year, and then this year they sort of they had the step nose and then put a cover over it, so aerodynamically it was no longer working. It just made the car look better. But it depends how close it is next year. But I'll be interested. I'm looking forward to the glory days of cars exploding on the start line and things like that.
Yes.
Well, how was it for you?
No points for either.
No, I finished 15th, but my
Your penalty dropped you back a bit.
My best lap time would have put me in front of Pastor, and 2.8 seconds off you.
So I think I didn't get fastest lap of the race. Yes, I did get fastest lap of the race, but
You did, yes. I got a radio message saying you were the fastest man on track.
But yes, I had a horrible last lap on those option tyres where I just lost all grip, binned it, and that ruined me. Kind of what happened in Spain, which is the race that we don't have on here, where it turned into wet and I lost all of my tyres and dropped right the way to last. So
fun times.
Oh yes. Well, now we've righted the wrongs of F1. We've kind of wronged the rights of everything that is Caterham Kings. We should be back for another round here. So until next time, Esther Ben.
Delightful pleasure as always.
As always, the pleasure is shared. Doodle pips.